Hey, I'm Flippi. I'm in Jefferson City to file for state rep and flip the seat. My party leaders say it's a lost cause, but they've never seen a candidate like me. People ask if I've raised any money. I tell them no. I'm running a grassroots campaign.
Good luck.
Thanks, Denny, but I don't need luck. I've got TikTok.
Come on, everyone. Let's make losing fun. Flippi, Flippi.
Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John never wants to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the 26th of February. This is the BJ Show, the A Block. Good morning, John Combest.
Good morning, Brad Hildebrand.
John Combest has an interesting past behind him. For years and years and years, he worked at a high-level executive at Monsanto in the comms department. He saw an opening, something that he had to do, and he quit Monsanto, but with their blessings, because what John has been working on, and matter of fact, I think it's coming to market in a couple of months. You're going to see John, a lot of the cannabis shops around town. He's got a new Roundup-infused cannabis that he's going to be selling, and Roundup-infused gummies at Wells, too. So that's going to be something and John will be doing personal appearances, local cannabis stores, and even, I think he's working with Epen Thampi on Roundup-infused hemp as well, too. Isn't that right, John?
You're absolutely right. That way you can plant it in your backyard, and instead of hoeing, easy, Brad. Instead of having to go out there and use the hose yourself, you just spray a fine mist of Roundup over the top, and you can control both your diseases and your weeds.
Simple as that. John Combest, every single day of his life, puts together this incredible list of all the important stuff you should know about. 24 years he's been doing this, never missed a single day. And he hasn't missed yesterday, although we had a technical malfunction and we didn't have yesterday's show up. John, I apologize. And when I get into your actual top three, don't ask me any questions during top three, because I'm going to go to the other studio to make sure the recorder is working okay this morning. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, well, on number three, I'm going to ask you a question real quick. And then after those first few seconds, just skedaddle.
Okay, because I don't want to have a screw up like we had yesterday. And,
love it, Brad. I love it.
And even though it was equipment fault, I will say it's 100% my fault, because everything's my fault.
Can I interrupt real quick and share a text that I got from one of my very favorite listeners?
Yeah, what did Shelley want?
I wouldn't say it was Shelley. Someone said, and I can't say their name or else you would mention this person incessantly. Did you not do a show today? I said, no, Brad's software had a glitch. This person said, oh my God, I just went to find it and thought you were dead.
Me or you? Both of us.
Me, yeah. Yeah. So I am alive and well. And Brad, okay, let's get into story number 3, and then I'm going to ask you a question, and then you can go check the recorder.
Okay, we'll do that. We bring this guy along. We pull him out of his grave in Norway.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And he starts off with,
in third place,
pop quiz about a quote. Who said this? It's multiple choice. This is the best arrow in the quiver. It has a lot of urgency. Is it A, the Indians to each other when they were attacking Meriwether Lewis on the crap transmitter site grounds? Is it B, Brad to his wife the night they conceived their 4th and final child? You know, that was the best arrow in the quiver. Is it C, the old man in the Schnucks parking lot rearing back to hit Brad in the face earlier this week? Or is it D, none of the above?
I'd say is E, all of the above. How's that?
It's all the above. Brad, I'll give you the answer while you go skedaddle, okay?
Okay, I'll go check the recorder.
The correct answer is D, none of the above, because it's actually a quote from State Representative Colin Wellenkamp of St. Charles. And he had a press conference along with a few of his other colleagues to talk about data center regulation and water regulation. Now, we should note that Mr. Wellenkamp also serves as the executive director of the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. It's a bipartisan group of folks that get together to talk about water issues. So Representative Wellenkamp is uniquely positioned to talk about water issues here. And in all of the hubbub that we've seen in communities across Missouri, but especially here in the Westplex about whether or not to have data centers, one of the concerns has been water regulation. Now, I have a few pieces up today, one from St. Louis Public Radio, one from the Jefferson City News Tribune. I'll read one from KOMU, which is in mid-Missouri. Representatives spoke in a news conference at the Missouri Capitol on Wednesday to outline their proposals for artificial intelligence infrastructure in the state. I guess that's probably just a fancy way of saying data centers. State Reps Colin Wellenkamp, Mike Costello, Scott Miller, and George Haruza all spoke at the news conference. And we would note here that Mr. Haruza is from kind of the mid-county area, but Wellenkamp, Costello, and Miller are from St. Charles County. Wellenkamp and Costello proposed a bill that are intended to create economic growth through AI databases while ensuring large industrial users of electricity and water will not negatively affect Missouri residents. Both bills have been read twice, with the most recent reading on Monday. So what it comes down to is if you're building a big data center in the St. Louis area, or actually I should say anywhere in Missouri, you would have to show that you are not going to have a negative impact on water use in that community. Another quote from Wellenkamp, this one via Sarah Kellogg of St. Louis Public Radio. If your facility is going to use more than 2 million gallons of fresh water per day, which is a lot, or 80% of the available capacity in that locality, you have to seek a DNR permit to do that. So in the big picture of all this, besides when you get past the DNR permitting process, it's really a case of we have a whole lot of emotions in these districts, in these localities, in these municipalities about water use, about electricity use, about noise. Residents have valid concerns. And I think they feel like they don't want to get steamrolled, whether it's by Google and Meta, whether it's by Amazon, whether it's by Ameren, who frankly they're probably already sick of with these rate increases. So we have, amidst all the hubbub, some state legislators going out there and actually putting pen to paper, or I guess we should say mouse to Word document, and actually trying to build a plan to protect water and energy resources. Now, pardon me, I will say that KOMU did a good job of also reaching across the aisle to the Democrat side. They interviewed a gentleman named Marty Joe Murray, who's from the St. Louis area. And Marty Joe said, hey, I think this is a good start by the Republicans, but we're eventually going to need more regulation. And the phrase he used was, it doesn't go nearly far enough to provide enough regulations around this. Let me make sure that I get the quote right. He said it does not provide enough regulations around these data centers. So this might be predictable, and that you have, in general, Democrats tend to look to government a little more to provide, they would say, some structure and safeguards around this technology. But I think it's great that we have at least 3 guys in the Westplex, St. Charles County specifically, that are actually doing work on this and getting a good first draft going on behalf of their constituents.
John, nothing much ado about nothing. I mean, I know you're not a Facebook guy, but if you go on Facebook and search, just type in the search box data centers, you will see a cavalcade of stories from around the country, and they're all the same. It's a bunch of people showing up at their local city, county, whatever organization who protesting it. But yet, if you read some of the comments, this will give you an idea as to. I'm on one right now. This is a data center. This I can't remember. This is on the TV station far. This is a Maya Graham WTVM TV. Okay, and you read the comments. Here's a comment, John. They built the data center down the street from me. Ever since it started operating, my toilets don't flush like they used to. My dog, Lucky, won't eat the Old Roy dog food from Wally World anymore. Now he'll only eat pizza. My neighbor's garage door opener went bad. His car got stuck in his garage for a week. He missed the VFW meeting in bingo. Data centers are bad news. This is a perfect example of the people who are well informed about data centers who are complaining about them.
Now, that person was clearly being sarcastic. I like that. And Brad, just to clarify, when you say often on this show, much ado about nothing, that's a pretty good vague catchphrase. Do you say the concerns about data centers are much ado about nothing, or are you specifically talking about story number 3 and legislators attempting to put some guidelines around data centers?
Okay, first off,
and the answer cannot be all of the above. You have to say what you were actually originally thinking.
No, the whole goofy thing about this is like I liken this to, and I said this before. I liken this when cell phones first came around and people were putting in cell phone towers and people are going. I mean, I've told the goofy story of how years ago a lady I knew who was working for a company was scouting cell phone sites. She had an issue and she asked me to help her with this. If you've driven on 94, once you go south of 94 or west 94, whichever way you go, past the high school there, I don't care whose service you're on, you lose service for about a half mile because it's in WISRAP, which is the government-owned thing, and it's the Missouri Conservation District down there. So they don't allow any cell phone towers down there. Okay, so it's this big dead spot. So the lady wanted to fix that. And her idea was to put cell phone towers or cell phone antennas on top of the lighting system for the Francis Howell High School football field, which the lighting system was not the best. And the cell phone company...
what happened, Brad? Tell us what happened, Brad. And did she ever go to a meeting where a woman's cell phone rang and the woman had to interrupt the meeting to take a call on her cell phone?
The superintendent of the the Francis Howell School District said he did not want to radiate his students with cell phone energy. Now, I'm going like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah, hey, Gen Alpha calls that aura these days. You're aura farming if you have that radiation up there.
Which reminds me of my very first day in college at SIU Edwardsville, when I had this nutbag, long-haired, freaky person who was my, I can't remember what class this was, but we've talked about this before. He held up the book that he wanted us to read by the very first week of class, which was the book about, you remember this better than I do, the population bomb. It's a husband and wife PhD team.
Probably Roger Ehrlich and the population bomb.
Yes, right. And about how, and it's funny because now it's sort of akin to what's going on right now with the climate stuff where if you go back 20 years when Al Gore was like, by the year 2015, there won't be Miami anymore. It'll be 20 feet underwater and there won't be an arc.
That's a little bit of alarmism. And you know what else has to do with radiation? I'm sorry to cut you short at 7:15, Brad. You know what else has to do with radiation? Story number 2.
Story number 2.
Up a notch to number 2.
Yesterday, we had a fantastic discussion about filing day. And if you want to find that in the archives, well, you can't. But Mike Carter was discussed in story number 1 yesterday, which was about filing. Mike Carter had announced that he would be seeking, the open state Senate seat that had been vacated or that will be vacated by Senator Travis Fitzwater. Well, we have a development. Yesterday, we were flummoxed because Mike Carter's own Facebook page said that he would be filing at 8 a.m. on February 24th. Yesterday, Mike Carter posts across his various social networks, SD10 district-wide text today. You know, Mike Carter likes to use the text to get the message out. I am proud to support Tricia Byrnes as the next state senator for District 10. Mike goes on to congratulate Travis Fitzwater for being named executive director of the Missouri Technology Corporation, a lot of other language, etc. As many of you know, my wife is battling stage 4 medullary thyroid cancer. What Tricia Byrnes accomplished alongside Josh Hawley, blah, 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 Rika, through her leadership, Tricia Byrnes helped extend protections to millions of Missourians who had been waiting far too long. That work matters deeply to my family. Blah, 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 more about Tricia. I encourage you to vote for Tricia Byrnes in the Republican primary this August. Paid for by Mike Carter. You can go to MikeCarter.com for more. And then Mike posts a picture of himself with Tricia making an appearance on his show. So we have a little bit of resolution there, Brad. We had some consternation yesterday about that topic and whether or not Mike would file or not. So what do you think?
Well, why did he post that he was going to file at 8 o'clock and then back out? I mean, it's not like his wife just got this cancer yesterday, right?
That's true. Now, I should also point out that the announcement that he would be filing was posted to the TV show page Facebook. And again, Brad, I'm not a Facebook guy, so it's also possible that he has folks that work with him that actually manage the show and manage Facebook. I know this is hard for you to relate to, Brad, but a lot of times professional people don't spend all day scrolling social media. So I'm not sure that Mike actually writes and posts 100% of things himself, because that post, when I went back and looked at it, was written in the third person. And it said, our own Mike Carter is considering it. There's also a possibility that at the last minute, he likes Tricia. He thinks about the fatigue of running a campaign all summer long and then actually going to Jeff City every day for 4 months a year. I don't know. Maybe Mike just had second thoughts and thought, I'd rather just continue making a ton of money and support Tricia in this race.
I hate to disagree with you, John, but I think your story is bogus, because the real true story was that he was headed south in 54 at 120 miles an hour yesterday. The Missouri State Highway Patrol pulled him over. He didn't have his driver's license or insurance card with him, and he's still in jail down there in Callaway County. So that's the real story, John.
I had no idea that happened, Brad. Maybe in a moment we'll talk about that. And can I make fun of myself for a second, Brad?
Normally it's me, but yeah, you can make fun of you if you want.
By the way, I shared with Offspring this morning a true story that I had a dream last night that you and I got in an argument today on the show, and you went radio silent on the show. And then I said, Brad, what's wrong? And you're like, you've gone too far. What you said was just, I don't have anything to say to you. And I remember even thinking in my dream, I'm like, talk about a needle in a haystack. Like if you said, John, you said something really mean to Brad today, I'd have to ask you to narrow it down. But I'll make fun of myself, Brad. Sometimes I see that people have not filed for office yet, and I think they must not be running. And there are a few major candidates. It's nothing that I mentioned on the air yesterday, but there are a few major candidates that as of yesterday had not yet filed. They include some candidates for county council. They include congressional candidates. And as a reminder, I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but folks still have a month to file. I mentioned it in reference to Mike Carter even. Folks still have plenty of time to file. So just because you do not see somebody listed as a filed candidate does not mean that they're not running for office. So I'd like to poke fun at myself, because even early yesterday morning, I thought, I bet so-and-so ain't going to run this year. They haven't gone to Jeff City yet.
Well, John, I have to tell you this, but I'm glad you mentioned that, because I need to renew a couple license plates. So sometime next month, probably in the first week or so, I'm going to go down to Jefferson City, and I'm going to knock out 3 birds with one stone. I'm going to get my driver's license corrected because there was a mistake in my driver's license. I'm going to get my license plates, redone, and then I'm going to file for for St. Charles County Executive, and I'm going to beat Bill Eigel at his own game, because with our matter of fact, I'm considering.
Don't make it R, Brad. It's your. Let's not tie me into this.
My
LDN, Brad. Just remember the acronym LDN.
We'll talk about it later. Okay.
The number one.
Brad, do you remember Johnny Rabbit?
I do. Which one? There's 2 of them.
The one that had ties to St. Louis.
You talking about Ron Els?
Yeah, Ron Els. That's right. I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, the original one was Ron Els was the original, and then was Don Portromonico, who was the second Johnny.
Wow, that rolls off the tongue. Well, he had a little brother named Eddie Rabbit. Do you remember Eddie Rabbit?
He was a country singer.
Well, Missouri, daylight's better than Somalian nights. Moved to Minnesota, now I'm southbound on 61. Gotta keep rolling. Driving south in the north lane. Love my rice and plantains. Why is that white boy recording me with his phone? Uh-oh, there's a trooper. Ooh, I'm driving down 61. I'm sorry for what I've done. Am I legal or not? Ooh, at least no one is dead. This problem's bigger than my forehead. Brad, you referenced a man driving southbound on northbound 61 yesterday. Did you happen to see the national coverage of this Missouri story?
I did not.
You did not, and that's why you made a joke in story number 2 about Mike Carter driving the wrong way down a highway, and then he got locked up. National news yesterday in the northern part of our broadcast area. Now you, Brad, in trademark humbleness, do not point out that you can hear our signal in parts of Lincoln County. We don't really tout that. But next time you're going up to Lincoln County, you can hear us in Lincoln County. Brad, a gentleman, using the phrase loosely, was seen and recorded driving a semi-truck fast, southbound on US 61 in the northbound lanes. And by the time we all went to bed last night, we had commentary from the U.S. Secretary of Transportation. We had commentary from Missouri's own Eric Schmidt, I believe Bob Onder, and others. That's right. A gentleman by the Twitter handle BTC Labs. You know, BTC is popular parlance for Bitcoin. And his name on there is, his full name is MoLonLabeBTC. So I think that's short for Moulin Rouge Labia Bitcoin, if I'm reading that correctly. He was driving, according to him, to his farm in Silex, and he sees a guy speeding. He claims up to 110 miles per hour, driving south in the northbound lanes. So he is terrified, whips his phone out, and starts recording. Now, nattering nabobs of negativity say, you should not be recording while you're driving. And you're right, but this gentleman points out that he was in a self-driving Tesla. But that's not germane to the story, Brad. I'll just cut to the chase because I know we're short on time. This gentleman, Mr. MoLonLabeBTC, attracts the attention of a highway trooper, he claims, at a speed trap, got the trooper to chase down this truck. And then this gentleman, this BTC Labs, gets a video. Now, Mr. BTC Labs posted that this was an illegal alien, an illegal migrant. He was suggesting that this gentleman was less than legal. Now, I'll just cut to the chase here, and the facts of what we know from this story is that, according to KMOV reporter Cameron Bop, you know Cameron's little sister, Bop. I wore her out in 1997, but that's a different story. Update from Missouri State Highway Patrol. The driver was not taken into custody. He was issued a citation for the wrong way driving. Our commercial vehicle enforcement troopers conducted an inspection and driver inspection and determined the driver could not properly identify road signs as mandated by federal motor carrier regulations. He had a valid driver's license, though. Now, internet sleuths claim that they have tracked this vehicle back to a Minnesota driving company, LLC, and the guy that owns the company apparently has a very Somali-looking name. We couldn't tell from the video, I should say I couldn't tell from the video, whether the gentleman driving, he was certainly very dark-skinned. Like if he went to night school, he would get marked absent. But we can't tell if he's a Somali or not. I think we won't know until someone measures his forehead. But I think it goes to show that we shouldn't jump to conclusions and say that someone's an illegal alien until we actually check their papers.
So was he an illegal alien?
No, as noted just seconds ago, as the reporter notes, Missouri State Highway Patrol said that he had a valid driver's license. So he appears as though there's no indication that this gentleman was an illegal alien.
Well, John, you can get a driver's license without being an American citizen. You can, remember they do it in California all the time.
Yeah, I think what we can infer, Brad, and the beauty of this thing is that this happened on a Wednesday. Today is Thursday morning. And I imagine due to the national interest in this, including our transportation secretary tweeting about it yesterday, and Missouri senators, U.S. senators, plural, tweeting about it and posting about it, I think we're going to have some attention drawn to the fact of who is this man and what are his ties to this Minnesota, apparently immigrant company. So again, Brad, we can all hold our horses, so to speak. And I think it's important that we don't call somebody an illegal alien until we confirm that they're an illegal alien. Just because they look like they would smell like bananas doesn't mean we should infer that they're some sort of illegal alien.
Is this John Combest tongue-in-cheek, or are you really being serious?
I'm being serious, Brad. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of instances throughout the country, and you'll usually take this as an opportunity to take pot shots at a local state senator. But we've seen instances in which people rush to an assumption that someone who commits a crime is an illegal alien. We should just check their paperwork before we make that claim.
You know, I say once again, if for some
Once
reason
again, you do say once again.
Okay,
Dad.
let me use you as an example. Let's say Monsanto. You're still working on Monsanto, and Monsanto says, John, we've got this great opportunity for you to head our public relations division in Germany. Yes, Germany, John. But we'd appreciate it if you'd learn the language. Okay. How many hours would it be before you were contacting a school or buying a course online to learn how to speak German? Get what I'm saying, John?
I would do it immediately, and I would say, "Speaking the Deutsch."
Right, exactly. So
if you can't read road signs,
yes, exactly.
Why are you operating a motor vehicle anywhere in the country?
And not only that, I've heard the excuse people say, well, how are they even taking the driver's test? Because if you take any of the Missouri driver's tests, there's a written component to it. Even the basic driver's license, there's a written component. And you know what I've heard, John?
What have you heard?
In the blue states, they have the driver's test in multiple languages. Now, let's think about that for a minute.
Which defeats the purpose.
Right, which defeats the whole purpose.
I wish I could have taken my Hazelwood East Spanish test only in English.
Right, exactly. That would be like me taking my German test in English. Oh, this is easy. There's nothing to this. Oh, man, I don't know what to say. Okay.
I hope Mike Carter writes a rap about it and can work in immigration law, DWIs, and Tricia Byrnes. But until then, Pro Body Works, they'll make it shine.
But, just think about it. We could also have, no, I'm not going to say that because you say I'm beating a dead horse. Okay, we have to take a break. We're way behind.